Are you sitting there wondering how the housing market 2022 is starting off? Now that we're through January, you could wait 2 months and get the latest numbers from the Case-Shiller Index, or you can go ahead and watch our next market update. We do these every 2 weeks where we're covering the Southern California real estate market. We're going to start off with the median home price and whether it went up or down in Southern California. And we're going to give you a warning about what to watch out for in headlines and in other YouTubers' videos that'll be very relevant to what you're going to hear coming up in the next few months about the real estate market. Big warning ahead. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been there since the beginning, helping you understand how to make sense of this crazy market, whether you're a buyer or seller or a tenant or landlord in Southern California and beyond. And it is time for our every 2 week market update. And this is a big one because it's the first official month of the year that's over. And this is going to lay out the groundwork for the rest of Housing Market 2022. So if you're ready to dive into the single family and multifamily numbers for Orange County, LA, San Diego, San Bernardino, Riverside, and Ventura County, hit that like button and let's get started. And since we're wrapping up the month, that means we get to take a look at median home price, which lately is a crazy thing to look at as we see those numbers going up and up and up. And oh no, the number dropped. Oh my gosh, can you believe it that in most cases, the median home price dropped from December to January? What does this mean? Is the market falling apart? Do we need to go into our bunkers and hide for a couple years until real estate values go back up? No, calm down. This is what typically happens. In fact, it was supposed to have happened earlier. Prices were supposed to have dropped earlier for median home price in Southern California because that's what they do this time of year. Now, here's what's going to happen, just so you know. You're going to hear in the news that January's median home price was down. Oh my goodness, can you believe that? And there's going to be people who make a big deal out of it. That's why I'm sharing with you that it happens every year. In fact, we can go here. Okay, December it dropped, and this is 2021. You can see it dropped in 2020. Let's see. Oh, it dropped in 2018 into 2019. This is what happens. It typically drops this time of year. Don't let anybody convince you that this necessarily signals that the market's about to fall apart. Now, maybe it does. We'll know in a few months. I'd be surprised, but we'll know for sure in a few months. But just because it dropped doesn't mean that the market's falling apart. Hey, and don't forget to leave in the comments below. I can run using this tool a bunch of different numbers, and you can see some of them behind me. I know I'm in the way. But let me know what other numbers you'd like to see me run. I can throw them in if you want, just for fun, occasionally in the market updates. All right, let's move on to the rest of SoCal to see what happened. Here's the rest of Southern California. And oh no, a couple of them fell. Actually, San Diego, against all odds, and you don't typically see that, it went up from December. So San Diego went from 765 all the way up to 780 for the median home price. And this shows you that this is a wacky, wacky market. It doesn't look like the Southern California market's going to fall apart anytime soon based on the median home prices we're seeing here. I forgot to mention for the other three counties the year-over-year increase. So that's why you need to subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter, because you're going to get these charts and you can look at them. But I'm going to mention them here. So San Bernardino year-over-year, we have an increase of almost 20% in median home price. Ventura is 12.7. San Diego is a 20% year-over-year increase. Now, what we're going to start to see, and again, do not panic. Don't run in your bunker and start eating your MREs. We're going to start to see these numbers get smaller, the year-over-year increases at some point. This is good. We actually need this. We cannot continue to run with 12.7 to 20% increases year-over-year indefinitely. So again, that will not mean the market is immediately crashing. It could be. We'll be tracking it. You'll be hearing it first here if the market's crashing. But it doesn't automatically mean it is. So please don't fall for some of that rhetoric out there. It makes great headlines and it makes a great way to get views on YouTube, but that's not really what's happening. And remember, we can't give tax or legal advice, but for the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, subscribe to this channel Without further ado, let's dive into the for sale single family numbers for Southern California. And we're going to start out with Orange County, and we're going to see this same trend in new listings across all 6 counties that we're covering. Just various degrees of not enough inventory. And this isn't a surprise. We saw this coming in through December. There wasn't enough inventory, and there wasn't enough inventory most of 2021. But we're going into the busy spring buying selling season, and we're at record lows. So what does that mean? Crazy days for buyers, crazy prices for sellers. One of the things you may notice immediately as well is that pending sales, the number of properties under contract, the number of properties going into escrow, that is down. And it's at a record low, in fact. So what gives? What's going on? Now, we did have an increase in interest rates. And I know people are going to look at this and say, oh, I bet that's what it is. My belief is that is not what it is. What we're actually seeing is we are finally seeing the results of not enough inventory. And that's what's showing up here. Because there isn't enough inventory coming to the market, our pending sales are dropping. And as this has continued to go on and on, we had the twist in previous months where we had more properties going under contract than listings coming. This is what you get to. You get to this point where pending sales have dropped and they're at record lows because there weren't in previous months enough inventory come to the market. And here we are starting off the year with not enough inventory for 2022. Is this a sign that the market is tanking and that suddenly everything's going to drop? The buyers aren't interested anymore? No. This is not even close to a sign of that. Now, of course, we'll continue to track the market. We may see some residual effect in the number of properties listed and number of properties going under contract due to the recent bump in interest rates. And we're going to continue to track that through the year. My guess is we're still going to have a very, very hot market because of lack of inventory all the way through the year. Unless sellers suddenly say, hey, let's get on the market. Let's dump our property on the market now, get a record price and disappear. I don't think that's going to happen because we don't have enough places for all those sellers to disappear. That's the challenge with not enough inventory. Same thing in LA, record low listings, and we have a slight drop in pending sales, but it's not at record lows like we saw in Orange County. We're at some of the closest we've been between the number of properties under contract and the number of properties being listed. So LA is a hot market, multiple offers, and it will continue to stay this way as inventory stays tight. Riverside, record low inventory, and we're solid in the number of properties going under contract. Very close. Those numbers are coming very close together, which means extreme seller's market in Riverside. San Bernardino, again, record low listings. Year over year, you can see how low listings are in this neck of the woods, and you have pending sales that are very solid. They're actually up compared to year over year. So San Bernardino is a seller's market as well. You sensing this trend? Same thing, Ventura. Inventory is down, but we do see a dip in pending sales. Now, Ventura has been interesting. Here, I'm not going to attribute the drop in pending sales to lack of inventory like I did for Orange County. If you've been watching my market updates every 2 weeks and my other videos as well, you'll know Ventura is a funny one. They haven't been following the same trend as the rest of SoCal. So the pending sales are down, and that could just be Ventura and the way they are. We'll see how this shakes out. It could stay low, but with record low listings and record low pending sales, they're still pretty close together. In fact, last year in 2021, they were closer, but you can see in years past, solid markets, they weren't as close together, the number of new listings, number of properties going under contract. So in Ventura, even though we see pending sales down, it's still going to feel like a busy seller's market. San Diego, same thing, record low inventory. They're keeping it solid with the number of properties going under contract. So this is about the closest we've seen for San Diego between the number of listings and number of properties going under contract. So this means for the start of 2022, it's a crazy seller's market in San Diego single family. Let's dive into the multifamily numbers. One of the few spots you can get them on YouTube is right here. And remember, like I always say, make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter so you get a copy of all these charts and can dive into the data. So here we go. This is everything 2 units and bigger in the various Southern California counties that we cover. And you can see that inventory is down in Orange County on the multifamily side while we still have strong demand. Now let's back up and talk for a minute about the eviction moratorium. So at the statewide level, the eviction moratorium has been over since September 30th, 2021. A lot of folks seem to think that it runs through March of 2022. That is a provision in the eviction moratorium related to non-payment of rent. That is the only thing that goes through March 2022. A landlord is still able to get their residents out in many cases with a 60-day notice if they need to. And this is for properties that are not under a local moratorium. And LA is still under the local moratorium. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Of course, an eviction moratorium would affect landlords of a multifamily property, but don't forget on the single family side, how many landlords may be affected by that as well. So that certainly is weaving into the single family numbers as well. Diving into Orange County, we can see that the number of listings is down to a record low level. We still have strong demand, and I can tell you that inventory is tight. We've brought a couple of new multifamily listings to the market. We're happy to have them right now because there isn't much else out there to look at. It's good to be representing the seller of a multifamily property right now in Orange County because it's an extreme seller's market, and this means that a buyer is taking a property at a high price and low rents and maybe a few other odds and ends that they have to straighten out. Los Angeles is still under the eviction moratorium, and this is at the county and citywide level. We'll put a link up above so you can watch our LA County eviction moratorium extension video. That's been a popular one. It's going to phase out the eviction moratorium in LA, but it's going to take a long time, all the way through 2022 into 2023. And in places under the rent stabilization ordinance in the city and county, rents have been frozen. So it's not very friendly to landlords right now in Los Angeles. But despite that, you can see that it is a very solid number of properties going under contract. Listings are at a record low, solid number of properties going under contract. That means a hot seller's market, even with an eviction moratorium still in place. Crazy, crazy days. Riverside is just chugging along here, other than a drop in the number of properties that sold back in 2020, and that was due to the pandemic. It is a pretty consistent market from the standpoint of inventory that's come to the market and the number of properties that have gone under contract. So this has been a solid market. Riverside is one of the more affordable markets for rent, theoretically, and one of the more affordable markets for investors. So it's solid. When people have trouble getting a building to pencil in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, they'll move to Riverside, San Bernardino to invest their funds. In San Bernardino, we can see for multifamily that new listings are down dramatically while demand is up. It's very solid level of demand in San Bernardino. And just as I mentioned, in Riverside, San Bernardino is another more affordable market for investors where they tend to get a slightly better return when they put their funds out there, when they invest in these markets. So you can see a lot of investors writing offers going into contract, but inventory at record lows. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and see if this continues. This is an extreme seller's market. This could push investors back into markets like LA and Orange County and San Diego when they see the competition that's out there for the amount of inventory there is. In Ventura, our buddy Ventura, all over the board, you can see 2020 was a hot market for pending sales in Ventura for multifamily, and it's still a solid market. We have more properties going under contract than we have new listings. So if there's a well-priced property, or maybe even a not so well-priced property, it's still going to go quickly in Ventura. If you want to invest in Ventura, there just doesn't seem to be as much inventory. So this would be a market that tends to fly under the radar for most investors. Here is San Diego, follows a similar trend to Orange County and to Los Angeles generally. Demand is up and inventory is down. Those numbers are getting closer together. This is definitely a seller's market in San Diego. And again, we could see potentially if San Bernardino's getting all hot and heavy with offers on properties, people could be coming back to markets like San Diego. and LA to place their funds. Orange County inventory is really tight, so it may still price out some of those investors. There is your multifamily real estate market update for January of 2022. Let us know in the comments below what you're seeing out there. I want to hear from you whether you think the market is going to be on fire or it's going to fizzle out. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter. We're going to cover topics like this, plus a whole lot more. For example, our popular video on the extension of the Los Angeles eviction moratorium. You'll receive that directly in your email inbox. Updates like this every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you check out this playlist here where we keep the Southern California real estate market updates coming. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we appreciate you.